Yes. Exciting stuff.
I have a tattoo too.
All right, all right. Hello, welcome everybody here in the library and out there in the world watching. We're so thrilled that you could join us for this month's Between Two Bookshelves. Tonight we have a very special guest who is coming here at the perfect time, just after Memorial Day, Miss Roberta Weiss.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me here. And I just want to say, this library is a treasure in this area,
Oh, thank
as
you.
the people that work here are, especially Megan.
Thank you. Roberta's here today to talk to us about her time with her absolutely amazing therapy dog, Foxy. Now, Foxy isn't here with us anymore, sadly, but her stories do live on in Roberta's self-published book, A Little Dog Who Likes to Visit, and of course in the hearts of all the people that our dear Foxy touched.
I know.
Not the least of whom were many people suffering in different veterans' homes and community centers, who our dear puppy dog helped to bolster the spirits of.
She raised people's spirits, and she also saved lives. And she has awards from Pennsylvania Senate, Pennsylvania House of Representatives, National Veterans Association, and many, many, many other places that I took her to. She pulled 3 GIs out of severe post-traumatic syndrome, and they went on to have good lives. And she was just unreal.
She was, speaking as somebody who's never met her, she was quite clearly, from the stories I've heard, from the pictures I've seen, from the book I've read, just an incredible light in the world. And the way you came to have Foxy in your life, in and of itself, seemed like kismet.
Well, kismet, and then there's another word that we use called beshert, and that means meant to be. I didn't want another dog. My children took me to look, and she picked me up. 5 pounds, 3 ounces. She looked in my eyes and went, I had no choice. She was mine. And when I went to visit a friend of mine in a nursing home, she said, oh, you have a little dog, can I see it? And I said, how can you bring a dog to these places? I did call the office. They said, does she have all her shots and all her paperwork? Yes. How big is she? 5 pounds, 3 ounces. Bring her. My friend is sitting in her wheelchair. There were several other people in wheelchairs. I put her on my friend's lap, and they cuddled, and the little paw, and it was just beautiful. And all of a sudden, the dog looked around and wanted to go down. I took her down. She went to the next wheelchair. Same thing. She gave everyone a turn. And I realized this little dog, who was in a shelter with 24 hours left, was saved for a reason. And she went on to help many, many people.
She did. She helped so many people. But the first one she helped was you yourself.
That's right.
Tell us about 2009.
2009, I lost 2 people that were very dear to me. The last of my 2 sisters and my companion of 23 years. My sister and he died within 2 months. And my children said, Mom, you're not the same. Get a dog. We always had dogs, and we always enjoyed them. And that's how Foxy came to be mine.
And not just any dog. This is a purebred.
A little Pomeranian, little toy Pomeranian.
That you found in a shelter of all places.
What?
That you found in a shelter of all places.
Yes, she was in a shelter. And whoever had her was good to her, because she liked everyone. She was taught tricks. She was housebroken. And it just worked out that she was meant to be with me and do her work.
And now, when you started out with Foxy, you had no intention of, getting into having a service dog. Were you even familiar with the concept?
No. We had dogs that were house pets, and we enjoyed was working part-time and I was doing other activities. And I never thought of this, but Foxy showed me the way, and she's the one that set this up.
So after your first visit with your friend Shirley, your friend in the nursing home who just wanted to see your new puppy, because who doesn't love new puppies?
That's right.
Right? You brought Foxy in, and Foxy just went person to person, filling them with joy. And for most people, I feel this is where it would end. This is where it would stop. Oh, we had a lovely visit with our friend. Maybe we'll go see her again soon.
That's right.
So lovely. The nice people at the nursing home are allowing it. But not you, because for those of you who are not familiar with Miss Roberta, she is a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, God.
So it was not a visit. It was parlayed into a life purpose for this incredible dog. And I think in some ways for you yourself.
It was. It gave me a purpose and such a sense of satisfaction, making people happy, brightening their life. And after I visited my friend, somebody said, there's a veterans home near you, and they would love to see a little dog like that. So I went, and that became our favorite place to go.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where she pulled the GIs out of deep depression, and it became a very, very important part of our lives. And the thing something that touched me so much, and I still feel I can tear up when I hear it. There was one man, a Second World War veteran, who had no family, no friends, and the people that were taking care of him were very kind and very nice, but it wasn't special for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I would go there with Foxy, and she would sit in his lap, and he would talk to her and talk to me and tell me about when he was young and what he did in the Army and what he did when he worked. And one day I went there, and he was feeling really bad. And I said, I wish I could do more for you. And he said, you don't understand, do you? I said, understand what? I said, you listen to me. The fact that somebody came in and just sat there and listened to him was so important. And I've encouraged other people to go to the veterans home, other places, and they'll say, well, what can we do? I said, just go there and sit and listen and talk to them. And that's how this worked out.
So I was just pulling up this passage in Roberta's book. Foxy and I typically spend extra time with Louis listening to stories about his life and engaging in conversation about a variety of topics. I explain, I feel sad, I can't do more to help you, and Louis replies, you don't understand, do you? Understand what? I have no idea what he means. And then comes the answer I'll never forget. You listen to me. And I have heard Roberta tell and share variations of that story so many times over the past few weeks as we've been discussing tonight's appearance. But still, this is the one. This is the one that gets me. This is the one that gets her. Because it's not you listened past tense. It's you listen present tense. And that's something that is so special. And I know in our conversations that you carried from place to place with you, that you still carry with you.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
And it's just incredible. That listening, we don't think of animals as doing that, but in their own way, they can be the catalyst because their presence is the thing that helps you to relax enough to want to share.
That's right. And they
Right.
don't judge you, and they're not going to criticize you.
No.
So you can say whatever you want.
Yeah. And the work you've done at the veterans homes is just remarkable. But you were able to carry this love and support and this importance of listening other places and to so many beautiful people. Your family in and of themselves, your friend Shirley, who's the one that kind of sparked all of this. but we've got some other really brilliant stories in the book that I would love to hear you share with everybody. Tell us about our artist friend.
I went to one place, the first time I went there, and I knocked on the door, and I always would, even if the door was open and they were looking at me, I would still knock on the side and say, may I come in? Because it was still their home and they were in charge. I never just walked into a room. And there was this small lady, and she, when I walked in, there was sunlight outside, and when I walked in, you know, my eyes had to adjust for a moment, and I thought I saw paintings on the wall. And when I looked closer, I saw they were needle points. Beautiful pictures. I should have brought some in for you. And
We have this guy right
she
here.
was
We can hold
almost,
that.
she was almost blind. And she had a little table, and on the table was a magnifying glass like this, and a light so bright that I couldn't look at it. And she had all these tiny little threads, about 9 needles with different colored threads, and she would weave them in and out. And I had the most magnificent pictures. And we would talk, and she told me she lost her brother, who she misses, and I told her about my 2 sisters who I miss. And one day I go there, she said, I have a present for you. And she handed me a picture of 3 women walking, and that was to represent my sisters and myself. I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she did it. The pictures are beautiful. I'll bring them into the library. Maybe you'll show them someday.
That'd be lovely. They really are incredible works of art, and something that, you know, we feel Foxy kind of helped to bring out in this very lovely woman that you met. Peggy was her name, yeah?
Yeah, and whenever I would leave, she would say, bring Foxy back again. Don't forget, bring Foxy back.
What was her name? Peggy?
Peggy.
Oh, Peggy.
And there were some funny things too. One time, first time I went into this particular place, there were people in the lobby, and there was one very big, tough-looking guy. And he looked at me and he said, what's that? And I said, it's a therapy dog. Looks like a rat with a furry tail to me. I don't believe in bringing animals here, and that dog can be dangerous. And everybody's looking at him. And I said, I don't blame you for being concerned. I said, she killed 2 people, bigger than you. Body parts all over, it was horrible. So he says, yeah, well, if she did that, why is she still here? Well, she pleaded insanity, they had to let her go. Well, everyone laughed at him so much that he turned red, and he avoided me after that. So we had funny times too. We had funny times too.
Well, she did sound, I mean, clearly ferocious
Oh, yeah.
in her little stole. I mean,
And then
that's a natural born killer if ever I saw one.
Yeah, and as he was walking away, I said, wait a minute, I didn't tell you the truth. She only killed 1 man.
And he was bigger than you.
That's a little boy.
Oh, yes, yes. So, some people are uncomfortable with the idea of dogs, some people are uncomfortable with pets, and some people are utterly terrified of them. But that, in and of itself, was not an obstacle for Foxy. Seems like nothing ever was an obstacle for Foxy. So tell us about your little friend.
I had a friend who's no longer with us. Most of my friends are no longer with me. But she said she had a grandson. I think he must have been about 5 or 6, maybe 7, forget. And she said, she would tell me, he is so deathly afraid of dogs, he will not go out to play. He'll look up and down the street, and if there's a dog out, he won't go out. So one day my friend said, oh, I'm babysitting my grandson, and my daughter's going shopping. Okay. I said, I want to bring Foxy over. She said, you can't do that. I mean, you know what I said, look, let me try something. Okay, so I bring Foxy over, and when she opens the door, I say loud enough for him to hear, I have Foxy with me. The little boy runs upstairs into the bedroom and then slams the door shut. And I say, stay up there. She's afraid of dogs. You'll scare her. And I say loud enough for him to hear. To Foxy, he's a nice boy. He won't hurt you. Don't cry. He's not going to hurt you. I'm sitting on the couch with my friend, and I see the door opens and the little boy comes down a couple steps. And I say, you're scaring her. No. I said, Foxy, he's not going to hurt you. Don't. Anyway, by the time the mother came home from shopping, he's sitting on the couch, holding Foxy, saying, I'm a nice boy. I'm not going to hurt you. And the mother drops all her packages. And I think he got a dog out of his own.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that part. That's amazing. So
Now, if I had a big pit bull, I couldn't have done this.
No.
But she looked like a little stuffed toy.
yeah. She was so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I still am just continually floored that you found this dog at a shelter. I mean, she was trained to do tricks out of the gate.
My daughter Debbie, who was here, hi Debbie,
Hi, Debbie.
she came over one day and as a joke she said, sit down, lay down and roll over. The dog laid down, rolled over, stood on its hind legs and twirled around.
It's amazing. It's so fantastic. So we shouldn't expect that any old shelter dog can be taken out and just brought into convalescent homes, correct?
No. This was special. This was special. And when I get together with my friends, we all tell Foxy stories. And is there anything else in the book that you think would be of interest? I mean,
Oh
to
my
me,
gosh,
they're all
so
of
much.
interest.
They're all of interest. The gentleman who was paralyzed, I think, was my favorite story.
Which one? There were a few.
Hold on, I have them marked. Oh, and the vicious dog.
Oh, yeah.
That one's fun. Oh, I have it in here. So there was a gentleman on one of your first visits to the veterans home. You were walking past and the lights were off. He was paralyzed from the neck down. And somebody said to you, I think Sam was his name, he won't want visitors.
That was very sad. That was very sad.
Mhm.
At the veterans home, there was a young, I was going to knock on one of the closed doors and the aide said, don't go to him because he doesn't like people. He stays in his room. I knocked anyway. And a woman answered, who is it? I said, I have a little dog who likes to visit. Can she come in? And then a minute later, yes. I go in, there's a young fella, he must have been in his early 30s, Lou Gehrig's disease. And he couldn't really move, and he could utter like, yes, no, that's about it. And Foxy, for some reason, she just jumped out of my arms to him, cuddled up with him, and he smiled, and that was an instant friendship. Now, he did not come out of his room for anything. And after a couple visits, I said to him, do you know Foxy would like a ride? He had like a wheelchair on wheels. And I said, Foxy would love a ride in that. And he said, nodded yes. And we put Foxy in on his lap, and we rode around. And all the other veterans, older guys, they knew of him. And they started to greet him and wave to him and come over and talk to him. When the weather was nice, we would go outside. And we did this for about a year. And he enjoyed it. And he would sit in the dining room when they would eat, and his aide would feed him, but he would be there and they would talk to him. And I think Foxy made that last year about as pleasant as it could be for him, instead of being in a dark room shut off by himself. And of course, when we went there one day and the door was open and we looked in and the room was empty and we knew what happened. Yeah.
It's such a blessing, though, to be able to encourage people to come out of their shell.
That's right.
And that's really something that all the stories in your book, Foxy was able to do, whether it was
And the
fear or
lady- the
pain
lady
or
under the
isolation.
blanket, lady under there was
Yeah.
one room we went into, and the people said, go into her, see if you can help her. Beautiful day in the afternoon, ladies in bed with the blanket over her head like this. And they said she has pictures of dogs that she had, she likes dogs. So when I came in, I said, I have a little dog, can she visit with you? And she, yeah, and I put her on there. And we went there a few times, and then I said to her, I don't think I can come back again. Why not? I said, because Foxy feels your depression. And when I leave here, she's not happy, and I don't want it to affect her. Well, bring her back one more time. I said, okay. Next time I go back, she's sitting in a chair in her robe. And every time I go there, she's a little bit more out. And one of her daughters said, oh, she's going to get her hair cut, and we bought her a new dress. And the last time we went there, she is sitting in the lobby with her hair done, and there's an old, very old, frail man, and she's holding his hand and talking to him. And she says to me, he needs somebody to help him.
That's so fantastic.
Oh, God, you know, you had to be there. I've had people say to me, Roberta, if I didn't see it myself, and you told me, there's no way I could believe what this dog does. One day in the mall, I'm there with my shopping cart, and Foxy's on her leash, and people are passing all with baby carriages and shopping carts and everything. She doesn't pay attention. The end of the hall, I see a young woman in a wheelchair sitting like this, being pushed by another lady. And as she tries to pass us, Foxy puts herself in front of the wheelchair. And the woman tries to go around her, and she puts herself again in front of the wheelchair. And the woman said, what's going on here? And I said, she wants to ride in that wheelchair. And the young woman that's sitting in the wheelchair like this goes, oh, can she sit on my lap? And I said, that's what she would like. And we sat her on the woman's lap. And this was not the same woman that came into the mall. She went, oh, she's petting me. And she lit up, and people were coming over and talking to her. And she had a cell phone, so we took pictures of her with the dog. And my friend Norma was with me. And Norma said, Roberta, if you came home and told me this, I would never have believed it.
Yeah. You got your steps in that day. How long did you walk around the mall with this
about
woman?
15, 20 minutes we walked around. But we didn't do a lot of walking because everybody was stopping to talk to her. And I don't know how long our session is going to be, but I could talk for hours about all the things that she did.
She was so remarkable. Tell us a little bit about how you transitioned from, your kids being like, all right, Mom, this is enough. Let's get you a pet, to a service dog. How does that happen? How does
Because I had
this occur?
I had very bossy children.
So what kind of credentials do you need? How do you end up going about doing this? I mean, you started just making a phone call saying, can I visit a friend?
No. Well, there I could because I had already been, no. When I went to my friends, I had all her shots.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, does she have all her shots? But when I went to the veterans home, I had to get a police clearance. Then I had to get tuberculosis shots every few years. And then I had 2 days of training, and they supervised me on the visits for about a week. They were very, very careful.
And these were frequent visits.
Yeah.
So not only are you working, but how many times a week would you take your puppy places?
Well, my work was the kind of work that I was called in for special things. So sometimes I would maybe go 1 day a week, sometimes I would go every day a week. But it worked out.
And it wasn't just nursing homes and veterans hospitals that you went to. You started going to churches and other events.
Churches, synagogues, community centers, there were so many places that wanted me to come and do programs about her. In fact, I went to, and then I was doing work on family history, how to preserve your family history. And a friend of mine who was a
Oh, yes,
member-
we have a chapter. Foxy becomes a historian.
Yeah.
Yes. Because she's a very erudite dog. Tell us more about her.
My friend said that they were interested. She belonged to a church in Delaware. And she said, we're interested in how to put together our family history. Could you come with and I also taught that at Temple Ambler.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, could you come and do a program for us? I said, sure. So I went there. And there was a big audience. And we're setting up everything, you know, with the microphone and everything. And people were coming in. It was a nice crowd. And I see one woman come in and sit in the back all by herself in the corner, whereas everybody else was trying to get close. And the woman that was helping me set up said, oh, I'm surprised she's here. She's been suffering from cancer. She hasn't been around for months. And I said, okay. I said, now, I picked up Foxy.
Wait a minute. This is where Foxy shines, right?
I picked up Foxy, and I walked over to her in the back, and I said, would you mind holding Foxy on your lap while I do my program so she doesn't interfere with anything?
You're so sneaky about this stuff. You're very subtle with how you get people around this puppy to let her do her magic.
And the woman said, and before I could even answer, Foxy's on her lap cuddling up with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she held Foxy the whole time. And after the program, I went to get Foxy, and she said, I'm not well, and my mother's 92 years old, and she's in a nursing home. She says, my hands shake, I can't write, my mother can't write, and she's the only one that knows the family history, and I don't know how to do that. I said, get a tape recorder. So oh, okay. So I have a letter from her that I got a few months later, and she said, I want to thank you for bringing Foxy, who helped me. And she said, I bought a tape recorder, and now we have the whole family history.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so wonderful.
Yeah. And then how about the Foxy Scent Me Man?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We're selling poppies at a shopping center. Well, they say you shouldn't sell them, you should, you give them out and they can contribute.
Mm-hmm. So this is, again, Memorial Day.
We did it
Every Memorial Day, poppies are sold in remembrance.
Yeah.
Little paper ones. You
Yeah,
very
and
often see
We
them.
would have a table, and a couple of the ladies would be there. And Foxy would sit on the table in her little cushion. And when people would pass, she would go, and you couldn't resist.
Mhm.
We sold, we made a lot of money. And that went to the veterans home. They had pizza night, they had bingo night, they had entertainers come in,
Mhm.
they had they had a special fund set aside. Some of the veterans only had their Social Security. They needed a pair of shoes. They needed a birthday present for a grandchild. They had that money to tap into. So this man comes over, and I see the way he's standing and everything, and he
A lot of bravado.
yeah. And he gives him a copy. And I said, you look like you were in the military. He said, yeah. He said, I served two terms, and he said, I said, thank you for your service. He said, I'm not good now. I'm not good. He said, I can't work, I can't think. My wife says, you gotta get out of the house, you gotta do something. And I recognized post-traumatic syndrome, but I wouldn't say that to him. To him, I said, you're a veteran with time on your hands now? I said, boy, could they use you at the veterans home. I said, me, what can I do there? I said, what do you mean what you can do? You're a fellow veteran. Some of those guys don't have any company, any visitors. You could talk to them. I said, you would be a big help. So he looked at me, and I handed him a card with the director's name from the veterans home. He said, well, what do I do? I said, tell them Foxy sent you. He looked at me like I was nuts and walked away.
Batty lady giving out flowers. I feel like
So-
her dog can instruct people.
A couple
Love
weeks
it.
later, I'm at the veterans home and I hear a voice. She's the one that sent me. She's the one that sent me. He went over and he told me later. He said, I didn't know what to say. The director said, "Who was this and how can I help you?" He said, "Foxy sent me." And the director said, "Come right over." Well, they matched him up with a very intelligent older veteran who had trouble moving. He needed someone to help him with his shoes. He needed someone to help him get out of his bed and get into the wheelchair. And this man was a very smart, good man, and he was a perfect match for this veteran who needed somebody to talk to like that. And they became very good friends. And after a while, they put the Foxy sent me man. He was in charge of bingo. He was in charge of karaoke. They had, every year they would have awards given out. And the family and the friends and everybody would be there. And the following year, when they gave awards, he was there with his wife, and they called his name, and the place broke out into cheers and clapping, and that was a beautiful thing to see.
That's so wonderful. It is amazing. I mean, to hear about this puppy that came into your life, and to hear about how, what is the word again?
Beshert, that means meant to be. It was meant to be.
So that's what you wish people, young people, when they're getting married.
Yeah, when people are looking to get married, we wish them that they could find their beshert, the one that was made for them, and the one that would make them happy. Their beshert.
You had your own version of Beshert, kind of unexpectedly, with this amazing
beshert
dog.
can also mean just something that was meant to be,
Mm-hmm.
and that was meant to be.
And I think what's so incredible about all the stories you share is that they are simple acts of kindness. I mean, this is not coming from some deep philosophical premeditated place, because it's coming from a dog. But that simple act of affection, of kindness, of willingness to give and to spend time, and obviously all the time that you were willing to give, it impacted so many people. It created this ripple effect. And, you know, with Memorial Day just having been passed, I think it's a really great time to remember that people can come and they can just show up. They can show up, they can be there, and they can listen. They can give support. And it's something that anybody can do. And we're so blessed that you know, embarked on this journey to spend so many years doing it for the community anywhere you could find.
I have to tell you about the blind man.
Okay. Last one, then we're going to open it to questions.
Okay, I went, one of the first times I went to the veterans home, there were 3 or 4 men in wheelchairs sitting around, and I started to walk to them, and the aide said, "Don't go to him, he's blind, he won't be able to see the dog." I went to him anyway, and I said, "Hello," and I introduced myself. "I have a little dog who likes to visit. I have her holding her right in front of you. If you reach out, you can touch her." And that's a picture. He reached out, and she put out her little paw. Yeah.
Wow.
And he's holding her paw, and he's saying, "It's so little. He said it's smaller than my finger, and she's so soft. Oh my God!" And he said, and I said, "Do you want her to sit on your lap?" He said, "Yeah." And she's sitting on that, and they're cuddling, and they're so happy. And he said, "You know, I used to see." I said, "Of course, you're a veteran. I know. What does she look like?" I said, "She's a gorgeous redhead." And I said to him, "Now, when you get company, you tell them a gorgeous redhead came to visit you. She sat on your lap and was kissing you." He said, "Nobody's going to believe that." So I looked at the 3 other guys and I said, "You saw it. You want to back them up?" And they said, "Oh yeah." Well, everybody laughed so hard. I thought they were going to hurt themselves. But we had fun. We had fun. I wasn't there to say, oh, I feel so sorry for you. We were there to have fun. And that's what we did.
It's so amazing. I don't know, Michelle, if we have any questions.
We don't have any on here so far.
Okay, fantastic. Do we have any questions or comments from the audience right now?
How old was Foxy when you got her?
I could not wait.
How old was Foxy when you got her?
She must have been about 4 years old.
Wow.
And she came from a good home. She loved people. She had tricks. She was gentle. She you know, sometimes when I would take her to see people, they would cry because they had to give up their dogs when they went into these places.
She sounds like she had no fear.
Definitely a fearless little dog, right?
Oh, she wasn't afraid of anything or anybody.
Mm-hmm.
We had, when I got her, my neighbors told me, don't go near that dog on the other corner. That dog fights with every dog, bites people. Don't go near that dog with Foxy. And sure enough, there was a dog about 45 pounds, and you would hear the dog growling and growling, and the woman would take it out on the lawn sometime and hold it. She was scared even to hold it. But I don't know what possessed me. One day I said to her, you have a good hold of your dog? She said, yeah, why? I said, I'm bringing Foxy over. Oh, I said, and this dog goes, and Foxy couldn't care less. She's walking over. And the closer I got, the calmer the dog got. Until they touched noses and became instant friends.
Wow.
Instant friends. And the woman is looking and said, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I can't, this is not, I couldn't go near that dog. I tried to pet it, I couldn't go near that dog. That dog and Foxy, and sometimes when I would go out and the dog was on the corner, I would hear that dog crying because it wanted Foxy.
She was a healing
Unreal.
soul.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And she died of depression. When I had to give up my home for health reasons and live near my children, I took her, of course I took Foxy with me, and at 12 o'clock or 12:30, I would go out every day that I could. That was our time out, and she would be at the door waiting. So, when I moved here, I couldn't take her, but 12:30, she was at the door, waiting. And after a while, she stopped eating. And I took her to, she was almost 16, but she was a healthy dog. And I took her to the vet, and he said physically she's well, but he said she's suffering from depression. So he had her on depressant medicine for 3 weeks. She still was not eating, she got very, very skinny. I took her back, and he said, her organs are failing now.
This is because she wasn't visiting anymore.
Pardon?
It's
No,
'cause she wasn't visiting anymore.
I couldn't take her out. And he said, you can bring her back every few days, I'll put a tube down her throat and force feed her and intravenous and all this, and I said, she does not deserve that. And she got weak, and we had to put her down. And that was her.
Such a sad, sad loss, but she did so much to help people.
Oh, I could, that book is this thick, I could have had a book this thick, and it wouldn't be all the things and all the
Actually,
people
a
that she-
great read. My children loved hearing these stories at bedtime. For a good 2 weeks of bedtime storying, and Roberta was very kind to sign this for them, which they were just tickled pink. What?
Is the book available for purchase?
Yes, I have a couple books here too. Okay.
Do we have any other questions from the audience about Foxy? No?
It's a story.
Hmm? Do you have a favorite story? What's your favorite story?
Let me see. Let me look at it because there are so many stories and
Mm-hmm.
I love the story about the,
I love Foxy driving.
about what Foxy was.
Foxy driving.
Oh, Foxy wanted to drive.
She's got so many
did.
pictures of this
She did.
dog with his paws
She
on the
did.
steering wheel.
She wanted to drive and she had no trouble with the written test. That went fine. But driving test, she had a problem. She couldn't handle the wheel. And
Couldn't reach the pedals. Couldn't reach the pedals.
So I told her that when the self-driving cars come out, then she can drive. Then she can drive, but they're not here now.
Did you accept that for that?
Oh, and there was one man, he was at one time, he was with a band in South Philly. They did spirituals and, all kind of music, and they were making a name for themselves. And he went into the army, and his job was, after the battle, the soldiers left, the wounded were taken away, the bodies were taken away, and he went into the field to pick up the body parts. Arms, eyes, parts of intestines.
Oh.
He came back, all his muscles were like this. He couldn't relax his muscles. And I would visit him with Foxy, and I saw a guitar on his wall. And I said, "Did you play the guitar?" He said, "Yes." And he told me about what he did. And he said, "I can't play anymore." So I said, "Do you sing?" He said, "Yeah, I sang." And he sang a little bit, beautiful voice. I have it on that, if you ever see that.
Yeah.
And I said, "My son plays the guitar. If you want, and my son comes over, would you sing if my son plays?" He said, "Okay." So my son came, played the guitar, and the two of them were singing. And little by little, he loosened up a little bit, he loosened up a little bit, he loosened up a little bit, to a point where he was able to go and live independently. They found a little apartment for him, and I visited him a few times. And then the last I heard, he became an inspirational speaker. And he went to other veterans' homes, and he went to hospitals, and
Changed his
he
life.
had a life. He had a life. But he told me, he said, when he's in front of the group singing or talking, he feels all right. But when it's over and they come over to talk to him, he would panic. So they knew that when it was over, he just left quickly. They took him in the back. But he had a life. He had a life.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we are wrapping up right now. Our time is sadly about to run, but we'll have a little bit of time for our friends here at the library to chat with you and to look at all the amazing pictures of Foxy. Roberta, I'm so pleased that you could come and talk with us. You have a long history of coming and speaking and helping and caring for the community. And I'm so pleased that you were able to come to our community now and share some of your stories. I really hope that this installment of Between Two Bookshelves inspires people to go out and, just start small, simple acts of kindness, just the way Foxy always did.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you. You are a gem in this place.
Thank
in this
you.
church. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so thrilled you could be here. And for those of you listening at home, anybody else out there in our amazing community here in White Marsh, if you have a skill, if you have a passion, if you have stories that matter, that helped, stories that still could help people, the community, what have you, bring them to us. Come on to the library. Let us know because we want to hear from you. We want to hear from everybody. So, Roberta, thank you so much for being brave and coming up here and giving us so much of your time. You're such a blessing. Those of you at home, we're going to sign off and go ahead and do our live Q&A, but we're so pleased that you could join us.
In regards to my splendid blended family.
Mhm.
Double your books.